Alright guys, I've been raining here a couple days, so I've got this vmax seat here that I need to clean up. I got some new covers here for it, some saddlemen seat covers. They ought to be pretty good. So these things are just stapled on. Just take you a screwdriver, a pair of pliers, pull everything out, get all your staples out, and you can pull this off. Then you just stretch the new one on and staple it. I'll go ahead and pull this off so you can see it. Okay, that's it. Just comes right off. This seat here actually looks in pretty good shape. I don't know what kind of quality these seat covers are, but they weren't too cheap, so we'll see what happens when I try to put it on. Here's a little comparison. This is the old one, stock seat cover, I believe. Had a little pad on it. This one's got a nicer foam, and it's got some string here that laces and you pull it tight. So I don't know what the deal is there. I'll put it on. Maybe this one I won't even have to staple. Alright, I struggled with this a little while. It looks like the seam goes right here on the bottom, which it makes it look real nice. And of course this one's not pulled down, and I've got this edge here sticking up. So, and this all should be down in here. I guess it's a good idea. I don't know whether this is supposed to be just to help you put it on and then staple it, or whether that's a final deal. I don't think it's very good, to be honest with you. I think it should be stapled. But anyway, I'll try to finish stretching this thing on here and see what it looks like. Well, I got it kind of stretched on. It's not really very good, and looks like it got quite a bit of extra there in the front. So I think what I should do is take this section here, pull it in good and tight, and staple it, and then probably go it around the center here on the front. Do the same thing with it, staple it down. That string is not very good, but it's not a bad looking cover. Saddlemen, they're supposed to make pretty good stuff, but it looks nice. It's a lot better than this old, and this was the best cover I had here, but you can tell it's just old and kind of worn out, and this is nice new looking one. So anyway, this is a little tail piece. I have a staple gun around here somewhere. I lost it. I'll probably just go buy another one, but something to do while it's raining. Here's the next part of the seat. This is the chunk that flips up for the gas tank, and don't know which would be the best way. Kind of looks like it'd be better to take these bottom bolts here loose and just leave the stuff that's on the main seat hooked up, and go ahead and do this piece. Of course, this seat's really trashed, but the foam should be good enough. But for sure, This one I'm going to need a stapler. First thing I'll do is take this back seat off and just get an idea of where everything's supposed to go with this cover. Well, the hinges come off easy enough, but now I got this piece here. This thing here slides in this part of the seat frame that snaps the thing down, and it looks like I could probably force them out, but they're already boogered up, so it's better for me to take them apart cleanly and not chew this up any worse than it already is. So I need a Allen wrench and I can get that out. Turned out that's not so easy, so looks like the trick here is to use a ratchet instead of an Allen wrench with a ratchet or an Allen tip on it. Anyway, take these off. Now you can see here these are pretty rusted up. That's why they were hard to get out. So I need to clean that up. And the seat actually just comes right off then. And it looks like I got a washer there. Probably got two washers, one on each side. Probably supposed to have washers anyway. So now I can pull this off of here and see what our new cover is going to look like. Alright, there's Mr. Seat. Foam looks good. Staples were hard to get out, but they came out. It's cracked right here in a corner. I don't think that'll really make any difference. But the main thing is the foam and everything looks good. Looks like it got a couple little weather places where it was cracked, but I think that'll be alright. See if I can stretch this cover over it. Now the cover looks like it's sewed real well. I have to turn this inside out, but I think it'll snap over the corners really easy and should hold pretty tight. On this thing, the cover or the foam is about 1.5 inches thick, and I already know that I should probably cut about 1 inch of this foam out, just because my legs are too long for these vmaxes, and 1 inch in this rubber helps me slide back a little. But I also know that when you take out that foam, this thing really kicks you in the ass and there ain't no padding. So I'm not going to take it apart right now. If I have to, I can take 1 inch out later, but I'm just going to leave it stock for now. As I was putting the foam on, the seat's actually cracked. It's probably cracked on both sides. So let's see. Yeah, it's not cracked here. But there's almost impossible to glue this stuff once it's broke. But what does work is super glue. So before I get too carried away stapling everything on here, I'll super glue this plastic back together, and at least that'll give it a little bit of strength. This one's really being a pain. I think part of the reason is this this corner was sewed too little. Instead of like 2 inches wide, it's like 1 inch wide. Same on both sides here. Not too swift. And I'm having trouble getting the... This is about where the bottom of the seat goes, is here. And I can't really get it stretched over the top of this. put it out in the sun, that'll warm it up. And maybe we just cut an inch of that foam out, make it easier to put together. But the cover itself looks pretty nice. You know, that just takes some work. Sure looks a lot better than that old one. So anyway, the technique on something like this to putting it on is find your center of something and then pull it up and staple it, and that way it holds it in place, and pull the center on the back side, do the same thing with it, so your cover is mostly in place, and then it just takes a lot of squashing and playing around with it. Sometimes these are pretty easy, but not usually on motorcycles. There, you know, if it fits real tight, then you don't have any wrinkles and things in it, and so it just takes some work. Anyway, it's enough for now. Won't do me any good to try to show you anything else until I get a staple gun. Well, I stapled these. This one looks pretty good here. I've still got some corners there. These seat covers really go on tight. This one I have much luck on at all. So what I'm doing is just putting them out here in the sun, and this should heat them up enough to help me stretch them around the final part, but they look pretty good. It's just a couple things my staple gun I went and got don't want to staple very good. But the main thing is that these covers are just too tight. I have to stretch them a lot to get them on in the right place. Well, after several hours, I got this thing together. The back seat turned out pretty good, but the trick is to use a heat gun. Just to warn you, put it on low heat and be careful, because you can burn this vinyl. But anyway, now I put all of the brackets and everything back on, and I'll just stick it on the bike and see what it looks like. Well, there it is. Not bolted down or anything. I was wondering why this one side of the tank or the seat was longer than the other, and here's the reason. The tank lock is on the short side. Anyway, it's not the best job in the whole world, but it's pretty good. It's got some little errors, particularly right along in here in the top, where I didn't get it quite on right, but for the most part it's good enough. And I painted this up yesterday and taped this silver part here. Looks like I got a little bit of paint leakage right in there. I can clean that up, but the cover itself turned out real nice. Looks like it might have just a little dust in it, but that's basically not bad at all. Well, another step. Seat's done. Just continue on here and finish bolting up stuff. I want to put my foot pegs and everything on it and get as much as I can done on this thing today. Alright, I started on this. It's pretty corroded. Got a crack right here too. I don't know what that is, but need to clean up and paint the rest of this frame. I got to take the rear fender off to paint it. So I just kind of got everything stripped here, and now I'll just try to take it all off. Hopefully I can get it all off in one piece. I won't have to mess with the turn signals. Should be alright. Yep, came right off. There's 4 bolts in it. And everything pretty much looks alright in here. Of course it's dirty. And needs some cleaning. I'll sand it good as I can and wipe it with lacquer thinner and see what kind of results I can get getting this part of the frame painted. I don't know if I had to bother to take off that rubber. This paint looks pretty good. Yeah, I'll clean it up best I can and see what it looks like. These are the wrong bolts for the side covers. These are valve cover bolts, and they look nice and new, so probably put them on the corners or something. Alright, I got this area all kind of masked off, cleaned good and shot. Got rid of all that rust and everything. Looks pretty good. Didn't really get any runs in it. It did right there in one spot. This paint is so thin, I have to be really careful with it. Okay, got this all done. All the way up to the top here. All the back of the frame. Got rid of all my rust. I sprayed it with primer, rust primer, and didn't get any paint all over the place. I'll let this dry good tomorrow, and I'll put my wires and wire ties, and clamps, stuff like that in it. I started putting the gingerbread here on the radiator. I didn't paint my screen. I've got it painted now, so it'll be dry and I don't want to mess with it. But it's pretty much painted from one end to the other. This thing, I worked on it a little, trying to get some of that corrosion off of there, but it's got a plate broke in the bottom there. It had a big piece of tin in it, strange looking bolts. Yeah, so, but the plastic itself is good, so that should paint up real nice. And yeah, it's not gonna sit there. Anyway, next step. I don't know what kind of solution this is. I JB welded a couple washers in it. Hopefully it'll I got plenty of metal to metal, so it should bond. And I have to take this whole thing out of here and clean it up. just surface rust, but that was probably vibration break. I really don't like his bolts in here anyway. So anyway, I'll let this dry overnight. It should be pretty hard tomorrow. And I can see what I'm going to do with this after that.